All right, all you MLBB fanatics out there, you know how this goes. New meta to figure out. So you're trying to climb rank this season? Well, you've come to the right place. We're diving deep into September's meta. And let me tell you, things are going to be different.
Yeah, that's right. We've got Sportskeeda's latest MLBB tier list, and we're not just going to read it to you. We're going to break down why these heroes are ranked the way they are, so you can take that knowledge and strategize like a pro.
Okay, so let's unpack this thing. The article mentions a pretty big shift away from the whole fighter meta we've been seeing. Lately, it's been all about those beefy frontliners ruling the battlefield. But now it seems like we're seeing a surge in assassin dominance. What's causing this change? Expert speaker.
It really comes down to speed and agility this month. Remember those recent patch notes? Well, they've shifted the game towards a faster pace, which gives those slippery assassins a big advantage. They can quickly burst down high-value targets before a team fight even really starts.
Okay, so picture this. You're playing your favorite marksman. You're in the back line, dishing out damage, feeling good, and then bam, out of nowhere, an assassin pops out of nowhere and you're toast. It's like the ultimate nightmare scenario. But even if you don't main an assassin, why is this shift so important to understand?
It's important because it changes the entire way you have to approach the game. Let's say you're a tank. You're used to soaking up damage on the front lines, right? Well, now you need to be way more aware of your surroundings, anticipating those assassin flanks, protecting your squishies, maybe even laying down some crowd control or CC to lock those assassins down.
And speaking of tanks, the tier list has some pretty interesting picks for us to break down. Lolita is sitting comfortably in S tier, and I gotta say, her shield could be a real pain to deal with in a match.
Her shield isn't just good, it's seriously game-changing. Just think about it. Lolita can block crucial enemy abilities, totally disrupt their engagements, and even protect her whole team from those deadly assassin bursts. It all comes down to smart positioning and timing, and that's what makes her so powerful in this meta.
Next up on our tank tour, we've got a hero who's making a comeback. Minotaur, clocking in at a respectable A tier. That rage mechanic of his can really turn the tide of a battle.
Absolutely. And on top of that, his crowd control is incredibly valuable right now, especially with all these agile assassins running around. Just imagine. A perfectly timed Minotaur ultimate ability, or ult, stuns multiple enemies, giving your team the perfect opportunity to counterattack and melt those assassins before they can even blink.
All right, from those frontline titans, let's move on to the Masters of Magic, the mages. And leading the pack in S tier is none other than the resurrected queen herself. Vexana, I'll be honest, her rework kind of flew under my radar. What makes her so good in this match?
She's got it going on now. Vexana's all about that burst damage now. Like, seriously, scary levels of burst. And remember how we were talking about those assassins earlier? Well, Vexana's fear effect is like their kryptonite land. Those skills lock them down. And then it's just a matter of watching them crumble before they can even get their combos off.
Wow, talk about a glow-up. Vexana went from zero to hero practically overnight. Now in A tier, we've got Luo Yi I-Mage, who's always kind of intrigued me. With her whole teleport thing, how does she play in this fast-paced meta?
So she may not have the same kind of raw burst damage that Vexana has, but don't underestimate Luo Yi. Her ability to reposition her team is seriously clutch in this meta. Just picture this. You're about to get jumped by like 3 enemies, things are looking dire, and bam, Luo Yi teleports your whole team to safety. Or even better, she teleports your team right behind the enemy for a surprise attack. Talk about a game changer.
Okay, I'm sensing a theme here. Disruption equals domination in this meta. Speaking of which, let's talk about fighters. They might not be leading the charge this time around, but they're still a force to be reckoned with. Argus, for example, is holding strong in S tier. It's like he just refuses to die.
And that's kind of his whole thing. Argus thrives in chaos. He's not about eliminating targets quickly. He's all about sustained damage and outlasting his opponents. And those quick, messy skirmishes that define this meta, that's where Argus really shines.
Next up in A tier, we've got a hero that brings the heat. Literally, Exborg, the walking flamethrower himself. I don't know why, but I'm always a sucker for heroes with a bit of fire.
Exborg is all about zone control and sustained damage, which makes him a real pain to deal with in team fights. Especially those choke points on the map. Exborg can turn those areas into death traps for the enemy team. And his ult, let's just say it's not pretty for whoever's on the receiving end of it.
Okay. Enough of the sidekick, so let's talk about the main event, the assassins. No surprises here. Hayabusa is reigning supreme in S tier. That guy's been a fan favorite since forever.
Yeah. And for good reason, Hayabusa's mobility is unmatched, seriously.
Right.
Those shadow dashes aren't just cool, they make him incredibly hard to pin down. He can basically weave in and out of fights, pick off squishy targets, and then vanish before you can even say, wait, where'd he go?
It's true. A good Hayabusa player is like a magician. You have no idea what hit you until it's too late. Speaking of disappearing acts, Natalia's holding her own in A tier. Her invisibility can really mess with your head in a match.
Oh, absolutely. Natalia is the queen of mind games and capitalizing on chaos. Just imagine this. You're in the jungle, just farming away, feeling safe and sound, and then bam, out of nowhere, Natalia emerges from the shadows, silences you before you can even react, and it's game over.
Okay, before I start having nightmares about invisible assassins jumping me in the jungle, let's move on to those long-range sharpshooters, the marksmen. Moskov is sitting pretty in S tier, reminding everyone why he's still one of the deadliest marksmen in the game.
Moskov is all about that range and attack speed. He can poke you from so far away, and once he's locked onto you, there's basically no escape. Plus, his ability to reposition himself with his spear makes him surprisingly slippery.
It's like they say, don't bring a knife to a spear fight. And speaking of classics, our A tier marksman pick is none other than the timeless Layla. I've always had a soft spot for her. Simple, elegant, deadly effective.
Lila might not have the fancy tricks of some of the other marksmen, but her range and that devastating ultimate are nothing to sneeze at. She's a great choice for players who are just starting out, or for seasoned veterans who appreciate a good classic.
Lila proves that sometimes simple is best. But to really dominate in this meta, you need a solid team comp. And that's where our final hero role comes in. The supports, they might not always get all the glory, but trust me, a good support can make or break a match.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And topping the charts in S tier is the one and only Matilda.
Yeah.
That ability to zip around the battlefield, it was just so good.
It's insane. She's like the ultimate guardian angel.
Right.
Imagine this. You're playing a swishy mage. You're trying to stay safe, but suddenly you're caught out of position. Things aren't looking good. Matilda can just swoop in with her ult, give you that quick escape route, maybe even turn the tables on those chasing you, plus her early game aggression. Don't even get me started.
Yeah, she can make those early ganks so deadly. Now for our A tier support. We've got a hero who I swear always seems to catch me off guard. Diggy, the time-bending bird himself. I swear. His little owl form is like a bad penny. It just keeps coming back.
You know, what's really fascinating about Diggy is his ability to completely mess with the enemy team's whole game plan. His bombs are super annoying, zoning out enemies, interrupting crucial abilities, and his ult, talk about a game changer. It completely negates enemy crowd control, turns what should be a team wipe into a get-out-of-jail-free card.
Ugh, I've been on the receiving end of that ult way too many times. It's not fun. But it just goes to show that even those lower-tier heroes can have a huge impact on the game. This whole deep dive has been awesome. Expert speaker. I feel like I could write a thesis on the September meta now.
Well, you're well on your way to becoming a meta master. But you gotta remember, this tier list is just a snapshot in time. The beauty of MLBB is that it's always evolving.
So basically, what you're saying is, we've armed our listeners with the knowledge. Now it's up to them to go out there and make it their own.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to experiment. Try out different heroes, even those lower tier,